In this video, we're going to pick up where we left off, and we're going to focus now on the variation regarding the participants. And so what I want to do is examine each participant average collapsed across all the time points and how each participant's average value corresponds to the grand mean here. So I'm going to follow the same approach as I'm going to put the square deviation for each of the participants along this column. And so I'm going to hit the equal sign. I'm going to shift 9. I'm going to open parentheses, and I want to click this value right here. And I want to subtract the grand mean. So I'm going to click this cell right here, which is where we calculated our grand mean a little bit earlier. I'm going to shift 0, I'm going to shift 6, and I'm going to raise that to the power of 2, and I hit enter. Now I need to highlight the cell once more, and I go up to the formula bar, and as we did in the previous video, I'm going to shift 4, I'm going to put the dollar sign in front of the G, and I'm going to put the dollar sign in front of the 12, as that will lock in the grand mean when I click and drag these cells to perform the other calculations. So I'm going to highlight my cell one more time. I'm going to grab the bottom right hand corner, and I'm going to pull that all the way down for the number of participants. And what we see here, and we'll double check with our last cell, and this is the difference between G11, which is 25.4 for the 10th participant, and G12, which is the grand mean. So that works out. The next step is to calculate the sum of squares for the participants. So I'm just going to reference that equation. I'm going to pull over to the right, a little bit over to the right here, and we see our sum of squares for the participant is what we had just calculated. We add up all of the squared deviations, where we take the average of the participant, subtract the grand mean, but we have to multiply it by a correction factor, this time being the number of time points. So I'm going to put that value in this cell right here. So I'm going to hit the equal sign, and type in the Excel command SUM, shift 9, and I want to add up all of the square deviation values I just calculated. And I'm going to shift 0, and while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and multiply that by the correction factor, which is the number of time points. So I'm going to shift 8 for the multiplication, and I have 5 time points, and I hit enter, and that's the sum of squares due to the participants. Now the degree of freedom for the participants, if we look at the bottom right hand corner of the screen, that's the sample size minus 1. So I'm going to put that in this cell right here. So I'm going to hit the equal sign. Now I know what the sample size is. I have 10, so I'm just going to type in the number 10. I'm going to subtract 1, and I have a degree of freedom 9. And as we did before, I'm going to take the sum of squares for the participant and divide it by its respective degree of freedom. And I'm going to put that value in this cell right here. So I'm going to hit the equal sign. I'm going to take the sum of squares. I'm going to forward slash for a division, the degree of freedom. I hit enter, and now we have the variance, or the mean square, due to the participant source. And before we end this video, I'm going to start populating the ANOVA table that I have set up here at the bottom. And so I'm going to skip the first row here, since conveniently I have the between source of variation. So I want to put that in the time row right here. And so I'm going to highlight the sum of squares for the between. I'm going to right mouse click, I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to put that right here in this cell for time. But when I paste it, I have to paste special, and I want to put in the value for that. I don't want to copy over the equation. And so we have our sum of squares. I'm going to put, I can do the same thing with the degree of freedom for time, or just to make it even quicker, I'll just put in the number 4. and I hit enter. Now what we see here is I do have, I missed adding a column. I need to put in a mean square column here. So I'm going to highlight these three. I'm going to cut those and I'm going to move those over one. Now what I want in this column is my mean square. And I had already calculated that over here, so I'm going to copy this cell and I'm going to put that in the respective location in the ANOVA table, and once again I have to pay special because I don't want the equation, I just want the value. Okay. Now I'm just going to copy over the data for the participant which we had just calculated a little bit earlier here. So I need to scroll up. I want the sum of squares. I'm going to copy that value and I'm going to put that for the participant, and I'm going to pay special because it's an equation and I don't want the equation. The degree of freedom was a 9. I'm going to copy that. And I pay special. Put the value, or I could have just typed in the number 9. And I need my mean square due to the participant. And I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to put that value right here with the pay special. Okay, so we have our ANOVA table partially filled out. The next video will go through and compute the relevant statistics for the error source.